What happened when an undercover CEO walked into his own airport lounge and saw a staff member nearly collapse from exhaustion while her supervisor laughed behind her back? This isn't just a story about poor management. It's a powerful lesson in leadership, empathy, and standing up for what's right. Stay with us, because what happens next will restore your faith in what real leadership looks like. Cole Maddox never wanted to become one of those CEOs who ruled from glass towers and boardrooms, disconnected from the people who kept the wheels turning. 10 years ago, he built Aerolux Hospitality from scratch, starting with a single airport cafe cart and a dream to transform the travel experience. Now his company managed 17 executive airport lounges across the region, and with growth came distance. That became painfully clear when a pattern of complaints started flowing in about the Sky Lounge at Clearwater Regional Airport. Customers noted lukewarm food, long waits, unclean counters, and worst of all, a chilling comment from one traveler who claimed to see a lounge attendant crying alone near the janitor's closet. Cole's instincts flared. This wasn't just about bad service. It hinted at something deeper. He brought the issue up in a regional review meeting, expecting concern. Instead, the district manager laughed it off, blaming fragile new hires who can't handle airport pressure. That didn't sit right. Cole pressed for more, but the manager kept deflecting, pointing to staffing shortages and seasonality. Cole left that meeting with a silent decision. If no one was going to take it seriously, he would. The next morning, he asked his assistant to cancel all non-essential meetings for the week. Then he shaved, dyed his graying hair darker, and applied for a temporary airport access badge registered under the name Nate Walker. A second-hand Aerolux uniform and a worn duffel bag completed the look. He chose Clearwater not just because of the complaints, but because it had high staff turnover and hadn't had a corporate audit in over a year, making it the perfect place to slip in unnoticed. Most of their hires came through temp agencies and rotated often. No one there would recognize him, and that anonymity would allow him to see the truth without filters. Cole didn't expect glamour or glory. What he wanted was answers. If even half of what he'd read was true, someone on his team was suffering, and someone else was letting it happen. As he boarded his flight under his assumed name, Cole looked out the window at the tarmac below, wondering what kind of storm he was about to walk into, and whether he was ready to face what he might find. Cole Maddox stepped through the staff entrance of the Clearwater Airport Sky Lounge with a forged ID badge clipped to his borrowed uniform and a name tag that read Nate. The smell of stale coffee and industrial cleaning agents hit him as the automatic doors hissed shut behind him. The lounge, once praised in its early days for warm hospitality and sleek service, now felt lifeless. The air was heavy, the lighting dim, and the silence awkward. The usual soft jazz or ambient airport music was missing, replaced by the hum of old vending machines and an occasional clatter from the prep kitchen. He approached the front counter, keeping his posture slightly hunched and demeanor low-key, playing the role of a quiet new hire hoping to go unnoticed. A supervisor named Troy Benson greeted him with a quick glance and a smirk. "Nate, right? You're the new temp. Great. Don't get comfortable, we're short today." Troy didn't wait for a reply before turning and motioning toward the service corridor. "You'll be shadowing Jenna. She's fast. Try to keep up." His tone was clipped, already annoyed. Cole followed the direction and found Jenna Morales in the prep kitchen, moving with machine-like precision. She couldn't have been older than 24 or 25, her Aerolux cap low over tired eyes, ponytail swinging behind her as she balanced 3 tasks at once: restocking condiments, wiping down counters, and slicing fruit trays for VIP passengers. "Hi, I'm Nate," Cole offered quietly. She gave a small nod, barely glancing up. "Hey, just follow me and don't fall behind." It wasn't rudeness, it was exhaustion. Within minutes, Cole saw it all. Jenna wasn't just fast, she was relentless. She moved quickly, but with care, checking every label, cleaning up not only her own prep area, but the messes others left behind. Guests came and went, oblivious to the quiet storm behind the scenes. Jenna never stopped. No one offered her help. No one even acknowledged her efforts. Cole tried to assist where he could, refilling the juice dispenser, taking out empty bins. But he could already feel it. Something here was broken. By the end of the first hour, sweat had soaked through the back of Jenna's uniform, and her hands trembled ever so slightly as she placed a tray of pastries into the warming oven. Cole realized he wasn't just undercover in a dysfunctional workplace, he was standing in the middle of a slow-moving collapse, and Jenna was the one person holding it all together. Cole didn't need long to see that Jenna Morales was more than just a diligent employee. She was the unacknowledged backbone of the entire lounge. From the moment she clocked in, Jenna worked without pause, tending to the buffet, prepping trays, assisting guests, and even tidying the restrooms when housekeeping was delayed. Her face, calm but pale, betrayed the fatigue she tried so hard to hide. During a brief lull in the morning rush, Cole leaned in and gently asked, "Are you doing okay?" Jenna didn't look up. "Yeah," she replied, her voice hoarse from lack of rest. "Just didn't get a break yesterday, or the day before." She wiped her forehead with the back of her sleeve and kept moving. He asked why things were so bad, and she hesitated before replying, "People quit a lot. Some say Troy's the reason. I just need to hang on until I finish school." She said it like a mantra, as if reminding herself she could still get through it. Cole was struck by how much she endured without ever asking for help. She never complained, never cut corners. She handled everything thrown her way with quiet grace, even though it was clear she was running on fumes. By midday, the lounge was packed with irritable travelers from a delayed flight, and 2 other staff members had called out sick. Jenna juggled guest requests, food restocking, and cleanup without faltering. When a child spilled orange juice across the self-serve station, she rushed to mop it up before anyone could slip. Not a single thank you came her way. Cole tried to help, but he couldn't match her pace or her endurance. Around 2 p.m., Jenna finally leaned against the stainless steel prep table, her hands trembling. Cole moved quickly, grabbing a cold water bottle from the staff fridge and offering it to her. "Please, drink something," he urged. She took it like it was a lifeline. "Thank you," she whispered, but just as the moment settled, Troy appeared from the back, loudly chuckling with another staffer. "You should have seen her earlier," he said. Jenna was basically crawling. I almost asked if she needed a walker. Jenna froze. Her fingers tightened around the water bottle. Cole watched her shoulders rise in silent humiliation as Troy finally noticed her and smirked. "Oops, didn't see you there. Break's over. Let's hustle." Jenna said nothing. She turned back to the grill, like she hadn't just been mocked by the man paid to lead her. Cole stood still, jaw clenched. He had seen enough to know this wasn't just burnout. This was systemic neglect, hiding behind laughter and fake authority. Cole spent the rest of the day biting back every instinct to intervene, every sarcastic comment from Troy, every careless mistake from undertrained staff, every dismissive glance toward Jenna tested his restraint. But if Cole had learned anything from building Aerolux, it was that real change required more than righteous anger. It needed evidence, understanding, and strategy. So he stayed quiet, observing like a fly on the wall, while Jenna worked through another brutal shift. When he returned the next morning, still in disguise, still just Nate, the cracks were even more apparent. The lounge was already behind on morning prep, the fruit was overripe, the yogurt bar was half empty, and when Cole checked the walk-in fridge, what he found made his stomach churn. Expired sandwiches, poorly labeled containers, and unrefrigerated milk that smelled just a little too sour. Back on the floor, Troy was holed up in the staff office again, scrolling on his phone. When he finally emerged, it was only to bark at staff over minor issues or make awkward comments toward Leela at the front desk, who clearly wanted nothing to do with him. Jenna was moving slower today, her exhaustion now visible in the way she gripped the counter for balance between tasks. At one point, while she was scrubbing down the espresso machine, Troy muttered to another staffer, "She always looks like she's about to pass out. Might be time to rotate her out." The comment wasn't just heartless, it was strategic. He was trying to replace the one person who hadn't given up on doing things right. Cole's fists clenched inside his apron pockets, but he kept his cool. If he stepped in now, it would be personal. He needed to make it structural. He needed the data, the patterns, the proof, so he kept watching. He asked quiet questions about scheduling, safety, training, and listened more than he spoke. By the end of that second day, his notepad was full, his heart was heavy, and his decision was clear. This wasn't just one toxic manager. It was a microcosm of everything that could go wrong when leadership forgets who does the real work. As Jenna wiped down a tray table for the 6th time that hour, Cole knew the moment was coming. Not yet, but soon. And when it did, he wouldn't be Nate anymore. He'd return as Cole Maddox, the man who built this company from the ground up, and he'd remind everyone, starting with Troy, what leadership really looks like. Saturday morning, the lounge felt no different from the days before. Dim lights, stale air, and a quiet tension that hung like fog over the staff. But this time, Cole Maddox walked in not as Nate, the invisible temp, but as himself, clean-shaven, back in a sharp blazer, Aerolux pin gleaming on his collar. He entered through the main guest entrance, letting the sunlight stream in behind him as staff glanced up, confused. Troy Benson noticed him first. His easy grin faltered. Sir, what brings you here?" he stammered, eyes darting nervously. Cole didn't answer. He walked past him without a word and stood near the check-in desk. "Everyone, can I get your attention?" he called out, his voice calm but commanding. Slowly, the lounge staff gathered. Jenna had just clocked in and froze mid-step when she saw him, her eyes wide, posture stiff. She hadn't connected the dots until that moment. A few staff whispered to each other. Someone near the back muttered, "That's the CEO." Cole looked around, meeting every gaze. "I spent the last 2 days working beside you," he began. "None of you knew who I was. That was intentional. I needed to see this lounge the way you experience it, not the version written in reports." The room fell completely silent. Troy chuckled awkwardly. "Look, I don't know what kind of performance this is, but—" "Stop talking," Cole said firmly, not raising his voice, but silencing the room. Then came the truth. One by one, he listed what he'd witnessed. Jenna collapsing from exhaustion without backup. Expired food served to travelers. A supervisor who spent more time on his phone than on the floor. And worst of all, the disrespect. Comments that tore down, not built up. Troy's face shifted from smugness to panic. "If someone had told you these things," Troy protested, "they're lying." "I heard it from your mouth," Cole cut in, "twice." Cole turned to Jenna. "You never asked for anything, you just kept showing up. You fixed mistakes, covered shifts, and kept this place running on fumes." Jenna stood frozen, still in her apron, her hands fidgeting at her sides. "That's not resilience," Cole added, "that's survival. And no one should have to survive their job." He then turned back to Troy. "Hand over your keys, you're done here." Stammering, Troy tried to push back. "You're firing me over 2 days?" "No," Cole replied. "I'm holding you accountable for months of disrespect. 2 days just confirmed what I needed to see." The lanyard hit the counter, and with it, a toxic era in the Clearwater Lounge came to an abrupt end. After Troy's departure, the lounge didn't erupt into applause. There was no celebration, just a quiet, cautious shift in the air, like a window had finally been cracked open in a stifling room. Cole didn't give a speech. He didn't need to. Instead, he rolled up his sleeves and got to work. He remained in the lounge after hours, clipboard in hand, checking the inventory, walking the service floor, and talking to each team member privately. No lectures, no grandstanding, just questions and open ears. He revised the next week's schedule on the spot, cutting out the back-to-back double shifts and giving priority to staff who hadn't had a proper day off in weeks. When he passed the overheated prep station, he jotted down portable AC units in his notes and made a call before he left that night. Delivery set for the next day. Cole then turned his attention to hidden talent. Earlier that day, he had seen Andre Kim, the lounge's baggage concierge, fix a flickering display screen near the coffee station using nothing but a keyring screwdriver and some loose wiring. "Where'd you learn that?" Cole had asked. "Used to help my uncle with airport maintenance," Andre shrugged. That moment stuck with him. Now, Cole approached Andre again, this time with a proposition. Part-time lounge tech support, with training and a stipend for tools. Andre blinked. "Seriously?" "Seriously," Cole said. "We need people who solve problems before they break." The next morning, Cole returned early, this time with members of his operations team in tow. They began logging inventory, inspecting expired goods, and reviewing equipment maintenance logs. Cole coordinated with HR to start confidential one-on-one sessions with every employee. No one was required, but everyone would be paid for their time. Layla, the quiet front desk associate who had long endured Troy's inappropriate behavior, was formally promoted to interim floor lead. "You've been holding this place steady without a title," Cole told her. "Time we make it official." Jenna, now resting at home per Cole's insistence, received a delivery that same day, a letter detailing a full wage coverage for the next 2 months, along with a job offer in Aerolux's corporate training department, remote, flexible, and tailored to her schedule. It wasn't a favor, it was recognition. The reform wasn't loud, it was steady, real. The suggestion box, once forgotten behind a stack of unused napkins, was reopened, its cards read aloud by Cole himself. "Can we get fans back here? It's too hot to think straight," one read, dated 5 months earlier. "They'll be here by tomorrow," Cole said to the team, "and the permanent fix starts next week." For the first time in months, heads nodded. Not out of habit, but out. Back at Aerolux headquarters the following week, Cole Maddox didn't return to business as usual. Instead, he called an emergency meeting with the HR and compliance teams and authorized a full audit across all lounge locations. What started at Clearwater turned out to be far from isolated. The internal review revealed a disturbing pattern. 4 other lounges had managers who exploited the same loophole Troy had, manipulating scheduling systems to force employees into unpaid overtime while bypassing reporting protocols. 18 employees had been affected over the past year. Cole didn't hesitate. "Start with restitution," he said. "Full back pay, quietly but directly. Each employee deserves a one-on-one explanation, no legal jargon, no deflection, just the truth." He refused to bury the issue under bureaucracy. 2 of the managers had already been removed. The remaining 2 were placed under immediate review. Cole also instructed his policy team to begin a complete rewrite of the company's labor compliance handbook. "No more gray areas. If it's not clearly written, it gets rewritten," he told them. He knew this wasn't just about rogue managers. It was about systems that allowed exploitation to go unchecked. That failure started at the top, and he owned it. Rather than rely on filtered reports moving forward, Cole implemented a new policy. Every lounge would now have a direct communication channel to corporate, bypassing chain-of-command delays. Staff could report concerns, offer suggestions, or ask questions, and they would receive personal responses within 72 hours. This wasn't a PR move, it was a structural change designed to restore faith from the ground up. Cole also began visiting employee advisory sessions in person, never announcing his arrival, never sitting at the front. At one session, a middle-aged woman crossed her arms and said, "You want to know what's broken? It's not just the managers, it's the silence. People stopped talking because nothing ever changed." That hit Cole harder than any data sheet. He realized fixing things wasn't about saving face. It was about restoring dignity. From Clearwater to corporate, the message was the same. Leadership isn't about distance, it's about proximity to truth. And Cole wasn't afraid to stand in the mess and face it. Not anymore. The transformation didn't happen overnight, but it began to take root. Jenna Morales, after some much-needed rest, accepted the offer to join Aerolux corporate training division. With flexible hours and full benefits, she began designing a new onboarding module based on everything she wished she'd been given when she first joined. She piloted the program at a regional training site, and the feedback was overwhelmingly positive. Her approach was clear, empathetic, and practical, so much so that she was asked to adapt the module for 2 additional departments. Jenna didn't seek recognition, she just wanted to make sure no one else had to go through what she did. And she kept her promise, returning to the Clearwater Lounge once a month to check in, quietly encouraging others to speak up and take pride in their roles. Layla Ford stepped into her new position as floor lead with quiet authority. Though she had been overlooked before, she now ran the lounge with calm confidence, implementing a new 3-day onboarding structure that gave new hires the tools they needed to succeed. Retention rates doubled, guests noticed too, service improved, complaints dropped, and the lounge began earning back its once stellar reputation. Meanwhile, Andre Kim submitted a proposal for a technician support track, not asking for a raise, just tools and time to train. The following week, a toolkit arrived addressed to him by name. Cole made sure it did. Other lounges began echoing these changes, some quicker than others, but the shift was unmistakable. The culture was no longer trickling down from the top. It was spreading outward, built by people who had been empowered to lead from where they stood. Cole continued his visits, no longer undercover but still unannounced. He sat with team members, asked questions, and most importantly, listened. Every stop began the same way. What do you need that you don't have? No two answers were ever the same, and that was exactly the point. Aerolux wasn't just becoming better on paper, it was becoming more human. And the people who had once been invisible were now shaping its future. Weeks later, Cole Maddox stood in the back of the Clearwater Lounge once more, not to monitor, not to judge, but to observe how far things had come. The space buzzed with quiet purpose. The prep station was spotless. The suggestion box, once buried under dust, was now opened weekly, its requests discussed openly in staff meetings. Jenna, no longer in uniform, sat at a side table coaching 2 new hires on customer care. Layla guided the floor with quiet command. Andre was installing a new filter system he had researched and pitched himself. The transformation wasn't loud or flashy, but it was real. Cole made no speech that day. He walked through the lounge, checked in with the team, and sat in his usual booth by the window with a notepad. The same question still guided him. What do you need that you don't have? One by one, staff came over, not out of fear, but with genuine suggestions. He wrote every word down. Back at headquarters, Cole kept the momentum going. Every employee, whether in a lounge, warehouse, or office, received a message from him. No title, no pretense, just a name and a promise. You deserve better, we're going to build better, together. Cole knew the work wasn't finished. There were still more lounges to visit, more stories to hear, more wrongs to set right. But for the first time in a long time, he didn't feel disconnected from the company he had built. He wasn't just fixing problems, he was creating space for others to grow, speak, and lead. The culture had begun to shift, not because of one undercover mission, but because the silence had finally been broken. And that, more than anything, was how trust begins again. The story of Cole Maddox reminds us that leadership isn't defined by titles or distance. It's shaped by presence, empathy, and accountability. By stepping out of his corner office and into the trenches of his own company, Cole uncovered not just operational failures, but the emotional toll of neglect on hardworking employees. Jenna's silent resilience, Leela's overlooked leadership, and Andre's untapped potential revealed a truth often ignored. The people closest to the work often carry the greatest wisdom and the heaviest burdens. The greatest lesson learned is this: when leaders choose to listen instead of dictate, to stand beside rather than above, they don't just fix systems, they rebuild trust. True change doesn't come from sweeping policy overhauls alone, but from everyday decisions to treat people with dignity, to reward integrity, and to call out injustice, even when it's uncomfortable. Cole's journey shows that a culture of respect starts with one action: showing up. Not to control, but to understand. Not to speak, but to hear. And when the silence is broken, what emerges isn't chaos, it's clarity, connection, and the foundation for a stronger, more human workplace.